The British Crown Jewels have over 100 items and house over 23,000 gemstones in the most complete collection of royal regalia worldwide. Britain has made a mark on world history as one of the modern world leaders. Its empire was once worldwide, bringing a variety of culture, riches, and people into contact with this island. Britain acquired great wealth, and one of the ways they displayed that wealth was with the British Crown Jewels. Although the name may bring images of jewelry and expensive stones to mind, the crown jewels are a collection of objects that include gems. It includes anything used for a coronation or other major ceremonial events. Things like spoons, state swords, and banqueting plates are also part of the British Crown Jewels. Britain has been collecting for centuries. The oldest item is from the 1100s. Of course, some of the more lavish crown jewels are crowns and jewels. Here are 4 of the most lavish British crown jewels to watch for the next time you are in Britain. Number 1. The Honours of Scotland. The Honours of Scotland are actually 3 objects: a sword, a scepter, and a crown. They are the oldest royal regalia in Britain. Pope Julius II presented the sword to King James IV of Scotland in 1507. The handle is silver gilt and adorned with oak leaves. Even the blade is decorated with etchings of St. Peter and St. Paul. But there is a break in the blade that supposedly occurred in 1652 when the sword had to be broken to hide the honours of Scotland from Oliver Cromwell. The scepter was also a gift to King James IV, but Pope Alexander VI gave it to him in 1494. It is also made of silver, and it was remodeled in 1536 to lengthen it and add decorative figurines like the Virgin Mary and dolphins. The whole scepter has a polished rock crystal on top. The current iteration of the crown was created for King James V in 1540. It is made of gold and has 20 precious stones and 22 gemstones that were on the previous crown. It is also decorated with Scottish pearls, bringing its weight to a little over 3.5 pounds. The honours of Scotland are beautiful, and one of their most impressive aspects is the fact that Oliver Cromwell could not find them. After King Charles I was executed, King Charles II went to Scotland for his coronation in an attempt to keep a grip on the kingdoms. Cromwell pursued, so the coronation was hastily done at Scone, and the regalia was hidden at Dunnottar Castle. However, Cromwell soon figured out where the Scottish were keeping the regalia, and he laid siege to the castle for 8 months, determined to destroy the Scottish honours. The Scottish were determined to protect their royal treasure from English hands, so one night a serving woman went down to the coast pretending to gather seaweed. The people in the castle lowered the honours of Scotland to her, and she took them to Kinniff, a village several miles south of the castle. The minister, Reverend James Granger, and his wife buried the regalia, hiding them for 9 years while Cromwell was in power. They restored the honours of Scotland to King Charles II during the Restoration, but the regalia was never used to crown another monarch again. When the Treaty of Union was signed in 1707, the honours of Scotland were locked away in an oak chest and forgotten. They remained hidden away until 1818, when Sir Walter Scott found them in a small room in Edinburgh Castle. The honours were put on display in Edinburgh Castle in 1819, where they have remained to this day except when used for occasional ceremonies. Although there is not a set price on this part of the British Crown Jewels, it is priceless to the Scottish, as it is filled with national pride and intriguing history that reminds the world of the wonders and wealth of Scotland. Number 2. St. Edward's Crown. St. Edward's crown is unique among the crown jewels because it is the crown used for the moment of coronation. It weighs about 5 pounds, making it the heaviest British crown. It is made of solid gold and set with 444 semi-precious stones. The crown has a velvet cap, and it sits 12 inches tall with 2 interlocking arches and 4 fleur-de-lis. Although St. Edward's crown is one of the oldest, the crown on display today only goes back to 1661. Britain had coronation regalia before that, but Oliver Cromwell and the Republican Parliament decided to sell the regalia after executing King Charles I and winning the English Civil War. Historians believe the crown from 1649 was worn by King Edward the Confessor, who ruled from 1042 to 1066. He was one of the last Anglo-Saxon kings, and although historians have questioned how effective his reign really was, he was still canonized with the Christian saints, making his crown a holy relic and an essential part of English history. All of this did not stop the Republican Parliament. It sold the crown, and it was melted down. The only piece of the coronation regalia that survived was the coronation spoon, used to anoint the new monarch with holy oil. It outlasted the Commonwealth because it was bought by Clement Kinnersley, a man who had served as an official of the royal wardrobe of King Charles I. He did not melt down the spoon. Instead, he presented it to King Charles II during the Restoration, when Britain embraced the monarchy again. However, one spoon could not stand in for all of the coronation regalias, so in 1661, King Charles II commissioned a new crown from Robert Viner, the royal goldsmith. The original inspired the new St. Edward's crown, but it was not a replica. In fact, the new St. Edward's crown did not have permanent jewels on it for several hundred years. Instead, the jewels were rented and then returned after the coronation, possibly as a cost-saving strategy. The crown fell out of favor after King William III. It was presented but not worn during the coronation for about 200 years. But all of that changed with King George V. He had the crown refurbished and had gems permanently affixed to it. These are the same jewels that are on the crown today. He was crowned in 1911, and the monarchs after him had followed the tradition. Queen Elizabeth II was the last monarch crowned with the St. Edward's crown in 1953, although it seems likely future monarchs will be crowned with it. The St. Edward's crown is valued today at over $57 million. It is usually displayed at the Tower of London, unless the monarchy needs it for a coronation or special spotlight. Number 3. The Imperial State Crown. The current Imperial State Crown is relatively new, created in 1937 for King George VI's coronation, and it has several of the most famous stones of the British crown jewels. The Imperial State Crown has been reworked several times since the Restoration, and it is a necessary part of the crown jewels because the monarchy uses it for formal occasions, such as the state opening of Parliament. It weighs about 3 pounds, and the gold framework is set with almost 3,000 jewels and gemstones, including diamonds, pearls, emeralds, and sapphires. Here are 3 of the large and famous stones set into the Imperial State Crown. The St. Edward sapphire is probably the oldest stone. Legend says it belonged to St. Edward the Confessor, one of the last Anglo-Saxon kings of England. He wore it on a ring, and the legend states that one day King Edward met a beggar asking for alms. The king gave him the ring because he had no money with him. The beggar turned out to be St. John the Evangelist, who made sure the ring was returned to the king. King Edward the Confessor was buried with the ring in 1066, which was discovered and removed in 1163. It has been a cherished part of British history ever since, and is currently set in the top cross of the Imperial State Crown. The Black Prince's ruby is technically a spinel, but it belonged to Edward, Prince of Wales, also known as the Black Prince. He lived from 1330 to 1376, and legend says that Don Pedro gave him the stone in 1367. Don Pedro supposedly took the stone from the Moorish king of Granada. When Edward offered shelter to Don Pedro, he gave the prince many treasures, including a large red stone. Initially drilled for a pendant, it has appeared periodically throughout British history. Henry V wore it on his helmet during the Battle of Agincourt in 1415, which supposedly provided him luck. Richard III wore it during the Battle of Bosworth, where it did not offer him any luck. The stone was also part of King Henry VIII's collection, and it has been reset into the Imperial State Crown ever since Queen Victoria. The Black Prince's ruby is set at the center of the Imperial State Crown today. The Cullinan II diamond is controversial. Some even believe the diamond is cursed. This diamond, also called the Second Star of Africa, was cut from the Cullinan diamond. Frederick G.S. Wells discovered this huge diamond in 1905 at the Premier Mine in South Africa. It was the largest diamond ever found and was given to King Edward VII in 1907 to encourage peace after the Boer War between Britain and South Africa. The Cullinan diamond was so large that 9 large stones, 97 small brilliants, and other unpolished fragments were cut from it. The most significant cutting from the Cullinan diamond is Cullinan I, which was placed on the British sovereign scepter, making the diamond a vital part of the British crown jewels. Cullinan II was the next largest and was added to the Imperial State Crown on the front of the band. The Imperial State Crown is kept at the Tower of London when the monarchy is not using it for ceremonies, and it is valued at around $6 billion today. Number 4. The Koh-i-Nûr Diamond. The Koh-i-Nûr Diamond is one of the most famous diamonds in the world, and it became part of the British crown jewels during Queen Victoria's reign. It was discovered in India thousands of years ago, although historians are unsure of the exact date. Traditionally, historians believe the stone was found between 1100 and 1300 CE. but there are earlier references to large diamonds that could be the Koh-i-Nûr. The diamond changed hands repeatedly throughout its long and bloody history. Both India and Afghanistan claim it as their national property. It became more than just a beautiful stone. It also became a symbol of power and prestige, which is why the various leaders in the area were willing to fight to the death over it. By the 1800s, it was back in India under the Punjab and Sikh Empire in the north. Maharaja Duleep Singh was 5 years old when he inherited the throne. And in 1849, at age 10, the British forced him to sign away his throne and the Kohinoor Diamond. Queen Victoria received the diamond in 1850, but the British people were initially not impressed with it. It did not sparkle like European-cut diamonds, so Prince Albert had the stone recut to better suit European tastes in 1852. The Koh-i-Nûr diamond was smaller after the recutting, but it was still impressive. Queen Victoria wore it as a brooch, but it was soon added to the British crown jewels, having been set in several crowns. However, legend says that the diamond is cursed against all male wearers, so it has only been placed in crowns intended for women, whether or not the legend is true. The Koh-i-Nûr diamond is currently set in the crown of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, the wife of King George VI. She was coronated in 1937, and the crown can be seen today at the Tower of London. The Koh-i-Nûr diamond is valued at least $140 million today, and its beauty and controversy continue to be subject of international discussion. How would you like to get a deeper understanding of history, impress your friends, and predict the future more accurately based on past events? If this sounds like something you might be into, then check out the brand new Captivating History Book Club by clicking the first link in the description. To learn more about England, check out our book, History of England, a captivating guide to English history, starting from antiquity through the rule of the Anglo-Saxons, Vikings, Normans, and Tudors to the end of World War II. It's available as an ebook, paperback, and audiobook. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this.